Let's be real as fuck about life, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Hi, I'm Julie Chin. You can call me Jules. The Real as Fuck brand is all about providing tools and resources to help new and struggling agents succeed. I share my personal experience not only as a new real estate agent, but also how I overcame the odds starting out as a single mom with a mountain of debt and a ton of self-doubt. Hi, I'm Julie Chin, and I'm your host of the Real as Fuck podcast. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm really excited to hang out with Sarah, Claire, and Marissa again and have you listen in on their new agent journey. Ladies, thanks for willingly being here again. And if you don't mind, just introduce yourselves to new listeners.
Yeah, my name is Sarah Nason. I have been a real estate agent for about 2 years.
I'm Marissa Parks, and I'm going on 1 year in the summer.
And I'm Claire Cornish, and I am also going on 1 year this July, I think. I'm pretty sure it's July.
I think it is July. I feel like I remember when you passed your exam, because I'm like, man, doesn't she want to be on our team? And then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be pushy.
Right.
Just gonna say, hey, how you doing?
Congrats. Let me know if there's anything you can do, or I can do. Let me know if there's anything I can do. I did my part. Oh my goodness.
It all worked out. I guess that we should probably warn anyone who's listening that we've just had the giggles, and we thought, wow, we're probably cutting out all the good stuff, so we probably should just move forward and press the record button.
We got this.
We got this. Get better and better each time. So I know last time we talked about certain things that we were going to cover today, but we're going to go with the flow, and we're not doing that exactly because we got our first ever listener questions.
Woohoo!
Yes, okay,
big deal. Big deal.
I wish we knew. I couldn't even run my mic tonight, so I have no idea how to do like some fun noise, but everybody can use their imagination.
I'll make sound effects.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start. The first question that we got, super easy. Why did you go into real estate?
Do you want the in-depth answer, or do you want, very basic answer?
We want the real as fuck answer, right? Because we're not supposed to sit here and bullshit people.
It was a stormy night in April.
Oh, yeah, I guess we should have a limit on how far back you're allowed to go. Well, hop right in, Claire. You started.
Okay. So if I was giving my basic answer, it would be because I love the show Modern Family, and the father character on that show, his name's Phil Dunphy. He's a real estate agent, and I said, he looks like he has a good time. Let me think about it, okay? That was the very beginning, okay? So,
the things you learn about people, I love this.
So, obviously that wasn't the leading cause, but that's what sparked my interest. So, I would say I thought about it, and I realized I was doing a job getting paid hardly anything that I hated. And I had a real interest in real estate, so I thought, if I'm going to do something I hate for no money, I might as well try something I might love and make no money.
I was wondering where that was going to go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So that was for me, that was my why. And then I also, the more I learned about it, the more I got excited to just help people find houses. And I love architecture, and I love design, and I feel like it wraps everything into that when you get to go look at people's homes, and just even looking at Zillow every day before I would start my class, I would do that all the time. Look at Zillow every day for new listings. And I love that. I'm sure a lot of people who get into real estate just love looking at the photos and layouts of homes. So yeah, Philadelphia, though, to circle back.
I love that. I don't know how anyone tops that.
Yes.
Sarah, you can go next.
Mine isn't nearly as exciting. But I think it's true, though. I hear a lot of people answer this question and they go, oh, I want to help people find houses. And it's like, I think the job grows into that for sure, but something piques your interest at first. Like when you're a kid, like you want to be like an astronaut or something else, you know? And because
that
something
one never occurred to
interests
me,
you.
just saying. I actually wanted to be a cashier.
I wanted to be a farmer because I wanted to have pet sheep.
I love sheep.
But yeah, so I think that in real estate, there's something that sparks your interest in the beginning. And for my husband and I, we were really interested in the real estate investing side, which kind of piqued our interest. And similar to Claire, I was just, I was working a job. I wouldn't say I hated it, but you're not making a lot of money in whatever you start. And then you decide, okay, I might as well at least do something I really like, or, this is a good time to jump into this. And for my husband and I, the reason that I got into real estate was because my mother-in-law was involved. She already had rental properties, and that is really, I got tricked into taking the real estate class. I thought it was an
It wasn't your fault.
introduction.
It was an accident.
No, I thought that I was going for kind of an introduction into real estate, and then I found out she had me sign up for the actual real estate class. And once you take the class, the clock starts ticking for you to go and take the exam. So she picked up my book for me and she handed it to me. I'm like, this is bigger than all of my college books. I was in grad school. I was like, this is bigger than like any college book I've ever had. And then she's like, yeah, it's because it's a whole class. So I ended up kind of
and you're still
tricked.
talking to your mother-in-law.
I love her. I'm glad it happened. It happened for a reason. So
totally.
yeah, so I honestly, that was the push that I needed.
Shout out to Hope.
Yes, thank you, Hope.
I guess it's my turn. Mine is little pieces of both, actually. So for me, HGTV has been a long time obsession. I think probably a lot of people say that. Side note, it is not like HGTV. But you do get to see the houses, which is really cool. I also enjoy the architecture and things like that. Found myself often scrolling through Zillow. And to rewind a little bit, last year, I'm also a speech therapist, and I was working full-time in 2 different schools, burnt out pretty hard, decided to work part-time this year and just did some soul-searching. And in that soul-searching time, thought, I'm always on Zillow. Why don't I just try this real estate thing? So, here I am.
Yeah, and you've got your new dog walking business that you're able to, follow through on your passion because you do have some additional time.
Yeah. Oh, and that's definitely part of it too, the time flexibility. When Sarah said, thinking when you're younger what you want to be when you grow up, for me it was always I wanted to be a veterinarian. I also love sheep.
So I'm not the only one.
No,
I've never uttered those words before.
Yeah. You should have seen me in Ireland, just like pointing. Ooh, cows. Ooh, sheep. Very fun.
Yeah. No, I'm a beach
so.
girl. Just not feeling the animals.
I love the beaches too.
And I think to go along with all of it too, another just big part of it, other than just being interested in the real estate side, for me, I had worked my corporate 9-to-5 job and I hated it. Very millennial of me to say, though,
Very.
being like, I don't feel like I'm making a difference. And, while I may have enjoyed some of what I did, I didn't like the fact that somebody else was telling me every Monday through Friday I was going to be clocking in. And I say 9 to 5. I mean, it's technically 8 to 5. It's all day. And I kind of got tired of just working for other people. And I'm like, well, why not choose a job that I can be flexible? We can have a family. We can work around that. We can invest with it. And also not having a career ceiling. either.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I know for me, I had come out of a 25-year marriage, and I just wasn't sure what I should be doing to learn how to make money. So I signed up for school at age 47 and graduated with a degree in psychology at 50 in 2018. And I'd taken the real estate class the year before, but I was just way too afraid of taking that exam, so I'd put it off. Um, and I gravitated towards real estate because in my early 20s, before I'd gotten married and started a family, I'd thought about real estate. And I think the love of real estate just increased over the years with channels like HGTV. And in Florida, where I'm from, we always had these holiday tour of homes. Just love these things. I got to go walking through people's homes and check it out, right? I found that so awesome. So when I found out that getting a job locally where we live in my career path wasn't enough to probably buy groceries, I thought, okay, I'll do it. And I would totally agree that it grows into wanting to be that help for someone. I think that there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I was looking for flexible hours. I was looking for hopefully a decent amount of money so I can keep a roof over my family's head. There's no shame in that. The hours are somewhat flexible, I suppose, in that you're not locked in, right, at the bank from 8 to 5. You can still book random things throughout your day, but so much of what we do, we are at the beck and call of clients and customers, because depending on the way the market's going, at any given time, you've got to jump and get that showing or the listing appointment, whatever it is. But it's interesting because I do think HGTV influences so many people on all sides, really. Because how many times do you go in with a buyer to a property and they've just got this idea of what they want, and that's not reality. You're going to walk in and this house is going to have clutter, and that house is going to have water stain, and a whole bunch of different things which they don't show you on HGTV unless you're watching one of those fixer-upper ones. Right?
Oh, that was a big one too. Chip and Joanna.
Oh, love them.
Yeah, they're my favorite.
What do you think your initial expectations going into it? Was it flexibility and hopefully unlimited income? Were those thoughts?
I think that was definitely a huge driving factor. And I mean, any brokerage, when you first start, you've got to join a brokerage. So that's going to be the thing that they talk about first. Commissions and splits and capping and how easy it is to get there. But of course, at your point, you're like, once you get into it, you're like, wait a second, this is not easy. Yeah. So definitely an initial expectation was, and you're kind of on a high, I feel, after you pass the exam. You're like, I did this. I did the class. I did the exam. Now, we're in it. And, oh, you're in it. It's just beginning.
And yet here we all are at different points and in it. And that's because there's so many parts about it that are incredibly rewarding. I can't tell you how many really nice, good people I have met. And I've been able to help them either buy a property or sell a property. And I look forward to spending time with them. And that's really special. Especially, we talked last time about being introverts. And so, we're not always running out the doors wanting to hang out with people.
Very true.
But like I have a client who texted me today and she's like, I'll let you know as soon as I'm coming to town and we'll go to dinner. And I'm like, it's genuine and I'm like can't wait for her to come to town. Yeah. So I love that part of the business that I couldn't have known was a thing. So that's pretty cool.
It's good for us introverts to get out and about.
Yeah.
Once in a while, too.
Yeah, that's true. What surprised you guys the most?
The cost after you pay for the test and the class. I guess, yeah, for me, that's definitely the thing that I was like, really? Is that, is it real? Do I really have to pay that every month and, every quarter? Yeah, that
the board dues.
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. Yeah, that was the biggest surprise for me because I just wasn't expecting that. All I expected to pay after the exam was what I would make from commission to the brokerage. Had no idea that that was a thing. So if you're listening and you think that it doesn't cost a lot before you even sell anything, you're wrong. Yeah, that's mine.
I actually cover that in the book because it's such a surprise.
Yeah. And when me and Marissa got our license, it was like board dues, all the fees were due.
Everything at once.
Everything. I was like, hold on. I take it back. I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm due.
I'm a poor 23-year-old and they just want all my money. It's fine.
What about you, Sarah? What surprised you the most?
I mean, there's a lot of things, and I feel like with real estate, I mean, we've talked about this. You jump in, and there's just so many different areas that you need to start learning. So I would say the learning curve for sure, and that's with contracts, with learning software programs, with learning how to now talk with people strangers. Lead generation is a huge one, and that never ends. Where do you get your leads now, and what do you do to prepare for leads in the future? Staying on top of those types of trends and where people are going to be. Also, a random one for me was, at least for us, I was surprised by kind of the realtor dress code around here, because you see all of these.
What dress code?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, that's the point. I feel like you watch these HGTV shows, and like they're all in blazers and heels, and I think that in some parts of the country, that's definitely that way. But here, at least for me in the Lakes region, the top producing agents are wearing jeans or else
leggings.
Yeah, and we show up like that all the time.
Flip-flops in the summer.
I would say like my bean boots are probably worn 50% of the time. Especially if you're walking land.
You're stylish.
My waterproof boots and my jeans, yeah. But yeah, I was really surprised. I was like, oh, at least in my area, we don't really dress up, and my clients with the highest budgets show up with their sports jerseys on. So that was just a random thing I was not expecting.
Can I interrupt you?
Oh, I was done. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say that also, I was so excited to dress up. I was like, oh, I'm going to look so cute all the time. And I could. I still could do that. But I allow what other people wear. I'm like, well, if they're not doing it, I guess I don't have to do it. But I just wanted to say that. I was so looking forward to dressing cute. No. Not in New England.
See, and I was the opposite. I was all concerned about how I was dressing. And the first time I brought one of the first times, I don't remember if it was the first one, brought a buyer to a property, and it was an assisted showing, which any new agents listening, that means that the agent representing the seller is at the property. And she had on a sort of ratty skirt, which was kind of cute, but she had flip-flops on. It just blew my mind. And I thought, wow, this is so unexpected. And then, unlike you, Claire, I was like, hot damn, I'm so excited. Woo!
It's fine. I've already come to terms with it, so it's whatever at this point.
Julie, I was like you. I was like, I'm ready for some jeans, some cozy boots,
Right?
some tennis shoes.
I definitely have never worn tennis shoes to a showing yet. That
Don't.
hasn't happened
That's
yet.
part of my. We might get there today, but that's part of my crazy story.
Oh yeah, well definitely. Oh, I can't wait. Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
well, I just thought that would be really fun, and it came through on Messenger from someone asking. So we're just gonna move right along, asking what's the craziest thing that has happened to you so far in doing the job. And so for me, I've been doing it a little longer, so like, oh, how on earth do I pick one story, right? So then in thinking about it, how I would answer or share today, because I really thought my first one would be, because I'm terrified of walking through grass because I'm so afraid of ticks. And growing up in Florida, I was allergic to red ants, so I never walked in the grass as a kiddo. I'm just trained, don't go in the grass, don't go in the grass. And then I have this job where people love to walk in the yard and they want to just go walking. It doesn't even matter. It's not mowed. Like, what is wrong with them? I just want to walk through it. And same thing, land parcels. I just attract them because I think I'm just going to have a breakdown every time I have to do it. I'm spraying myself with bug spray and wearing very tall looking weird boots. Although I did see someone, no name, who's obviously worse than me, so God bless her. She had on a head net system and a body net system with her boots walking the land.
Like what a beekeeper wears?
It was something just like that. And I thought, okay, I'm panicked inside and nobody knows.
Maybe she was harvesting honey after work.
You're right. That's probably her next job.
Yeah.
I feel like that has a story. Like, she has a crazy thing.
I think she's probably terrified like me. And that first showing, like a rock, let's see, the person, I thought she was following me. She gets out of her car and walks up to my car with her dog. I like my dog. I don't know if I like other people's dogs. My inside of my car is black. She has a white dog in her arms, and she's not just walking in my way. She opens the door. All this dog hair goes flying in my car, and she gets in with her dog. We're bringing the dog with us. Yes. And she's evidently riding with me. Okay, this is a good start. And we're riding down the road, and I just can't even make these things up. A rock, I don't know where they come from when you're driving, but boom, hits my windshield. Now I'm crack starting. This is a brand new car. Let's back up. It's brand new. It smells clean. It's black. Now there's white hair. Now I have a crack on the windshield. So then we get to the house, and she wants to go walking around the perimeter. It hasn't been mowed. Did I mention that? So I then get through all that, and I sit back in my car with her and her very, very cute dog. And I look at my hand, and I have a tick in my palm. Yep. And it was the deer tick. I had to go on antibiotics. That was a hell of a day of a showing. Yeah. So
oh my goodness.
It can only go up from there. And then the only other craziest one that I will share, which scared the holy hell out of me. And it was pretty early on. I want to say within my first year. I pull up to a house. I struggle with the lockbox. That we could do a whole show on stupid lockboxes, actually.
Right?
I hate those things. But it was me all by myself. Oh, you know what? It was around 2020, so I'm mistaken because, it was the time period where you started doing all the video showings. Anyway, I get in. turning some lights on, and I'm like, oh, okay, this place is a mess. Like, did the agent tell them I was coming? There's dishes overflowing in the sinks. I have to do a video show. There's garments that really just need to be in a laundry basket. You don't want people seeing those. But this is the house I'm in. And so I'm just like, okay, put my video on. I start walking around. And there's all this stuff on this table that I have only seen in movies.
No.
Drug paraphernalia
No.
all over this table. So now I'm like, they really don't know I'm coming today, I think. And oh my gosh, like, what is this situation? Like, what if someone came in right now, and what if they were high, or what if they thought I broke in and I was stealing? Like, so now my anxiety's going, my heartbeat's racing, but I'm a professional. I'm getting the damn video. Like, this person, I drove over an hour to get to this property, and I need to get this video for my buyer, but I'm terrified. So I'm going as quick as I can around the spaces without, making it dizzy for the viewer, right? I open into this one hallway where the bedrooms are, and there is someone in the bed.
Oh my gosh.
I shut my video off because that was the last area of the house, thank goodness. And lights all off, and I bolted.
Julie, you didn't just you walked around and turned off all the lights you turned on?
I was just gonna say, you're better than me, Julie.
I would have ran. I would have kept running for the rest of my life.
Scared. I don't know what I was thinking, but I don't want to get in trouble with a list agent either.
Because
like,
Yeah, that would not have been my first thought. I better turn the lights off before somebody kills me. Are you kidding?
I was so scared. Like, think of all those scenarios, and it's easy to look back now, and we can come up with 100 more. I'm lucky to be alive. My children have no idea.
Hey, but at least you turn the lights off.
Their electric bill will be lower.
Yes.
Because of you.
Now, as agents, leave the house the way you found it. Shut those lights off and lock those doors. I did a showing yesterday, and I got there, and the door was not only unlocked, it was open. I felt so upset for that homeowner, and I let the list agent know. And obviously she knew I was making it all Loctite when I left. But yeah, just lousy. So it's in my head, folks, no matter how scared I was.
It's ingrained.
All right, let's go to you, Marissa.
Okay. Well, my story starts by following two strange men into the woods.
Our shy introvert.
I know. So I believe this was actually my first showing on my own. I was meeting the buyer at the property, assisted showing as well. So the list agent was there. Both very nice. So this isn't like a horror story.
Semi.
Who you ask, yeah. In the moment, it definitely felt that way. So we go look at the house. Everything's good. I ask some questions. I feel pretty competent about, what's going on here. And then the buyer says, could we take a walk through the woods? I'm like, no. I like hiking as much as the next person. Sure, it's getting dark. Wearing slip-on tennis shoes and a cardigan, but sure, why not? So
wait, what was the weather? Because I feel like your footwear was wrong that day.
It was wrong only because we went through the woods, which were terrible. There were trees growing out of trees, just super, super dense forest, basically. So underneath this layer of forest was just mud and muck and goop and Lord knows what else. So I was just slipping and sliding every which way through and over and under, just anything you can think of. I needed a machete to get through it. And all I could think about was the spiders. I'm following these strangers into the woods, but all I'm thinking about is spiders because I feel like the cobwebs, and it's just not a good time.
You were terrified. You can tell the truth.
I for sure was terrified. So I was keeping pace for a while until I wasn't. Next thing you know, I'm alone in these woods. It's getting dark. I call out to the buyer, and I don't hear any responses. So then I started to panic. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die here. I'm going to be eaten by spiders. I shouldn't have done this. This is wrong. But then I'm like, all right, calm down. This isn't going to get you anywhere. So I used my Garmin watch. And I started trying to like track my way back to, or no, actually that's wrong. I didn't, because I don't know how to use my Garmin watch.
You were that deep in the
forest? I was so impressed for a moment.
Yeah, I did.
Is this an ad for Garmin?
No, I totally had my Garmin, but I have no idea how to do it.
I don't even know what that is, but it's techie, so it's not going to be in my world.
Yep. So I used my iPhone and I looked on the map. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to
You're lucky you had signal.
Yes. So I tried to like get back to the house, and then finally I heard them calling out to me. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I just started following the voice, emerged from these woods.
No thought to the level of embarrassment she should be feeling.
Oh no, I totally was. I was like beat red in the face, drenched in sweat, had twigs in the hair, trying to be composed for this buyer that I'm meeting for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, this would happen to me. So that was my story.
And you survived.
I did.
You kept with it.
I did. It was funny because that buyer actually, we had a good laugh about that later, but a few properties later.
How about you, Sarah?
Oh, none of my stories are nearly as crazy. I think I've been blessed. I haven't had too many crazy things yet, thankfully. But I'm sure the longer we stay in this business, it'll go. Probably similar to you, Julie, on how you said your very first, like one of your first showings, it's like everything went wrong. For me, the very first property I ever went under contract with. So like I'm super nervous. I'm like, am I doing everything right? I had never had been present for a home inspection before. I'm trying to stay on top of everything. I show up to the house and the listing agent told me, okay, yeah, I opened up the spot for the septic. And I'm like, you opened a spot for the septic? What are you talking about? Come to find out, the septic tank is underneath one of the bedrooms. This house doesn't have a basement. There's this little trap door to get to the septic tank. This is a 1,000 square foot house on 3 acres. They had so many places to put the septic tank, and they put it under the house. And I'm like,
under the bedroom.
What? I know. And I'm like, is this normal? And Julie, remember I texted you, I'm like, is this normal? You're like, no. And come to find out, the leach field was also under the house. Yeah, we didn't close on that property. My buyer ended up, using his inspection period then, but I am just like, there's so much I don't understand.
It adds to the ambiance of the space.
Oh, it really does, It's just, yeah,
definitely a weird choice.
I know. So mine isn't like a crazy get lost in the woods or stories, but yeah, thankfully every inspection has gone better than that. And I use that every time. I'm like, well, hey, nothing can be as bad as that one.
Right. So true. So true. Do you have anything yet, Claire?
I have nothing. I take that as a blessing. Thank you so much. That's what I was going for. I have quirky encounters, but oh my gosh, if I ever opened the door and somebody was in a bed, I would never. I cannot get over that, Julie. Oh my gosh.
So scary.
That would have freaked me out so bad.
I cannot get over that you turn the lights off.
Well,
crazy.
I remember my buyer had further interest, and I was not going to go back to that property without the list agent. And when I called the list agent and explained everything, they kind of acted like, what's wrong with you? Like, I don't know, maybe because I was new and pretty nervous and insecure about things, but in no way did that agent say or react in a way that to this day makes any sense to me. So I told my client everything, and I'm like, I'm too afraid to go to the house. So if you want to see it, you have to come up with me, because the list agent doesn't seem to think any of it's a big deal, but I'm literally never going in that house again by myself.
Cannot blame
probably
you.
a good choice.
Yeah, seriously.
So I was thinking, let's jump into at least one of the things we told everyone we would cover in our next podcast. So we're going to go longer, but like I never really had a set time on podcasts anyway. We're talking and want to give some good information for sure. So in thinking of the newer agent that is listening or listening in the future, what first steps should they really be focused on?
Before they take the class, after they pass the exam?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question, because I was, right now, I have two people who actually, this is definitely not a plug, but they purchased my book to give as a gift. In both situations, the person is in the real estate classes right now. And it occurred to me, wow, that's like really the perfect time, you know, so you could just dive in and see what it's all about and not make any decisions too quickly. You know, like I think for me, a big thing to start off with is interviewing the brokerages. And I didn't do that. I mean, I know the person teaching the class said you're interviewing the brokerage. They're not interviewing you. You're in charge. You know, they said all the right things, but I didn't know what to ask. And I just went with what felt right to me, and I got lucky. But so, you know, interviewing different brokerages and actually comparing, like have a spreadsheet. 5 years later, I love spreadsheets. I never would have thought I'd say those words. But like compare, you know, what they're offering, whether it's on technology or finances or administrative help. Try to hang out in the office or attend those brokerage meetings and get a feel for the other agents that are part of that firm. I didn't do that, and I can just see how valuable that could be for sure. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think that's something I wish I did more, was talk to other brokerages. But before even taking the class, I already had it in my mind that I wanted to work with Keller Williams and for Keller Williams, just primarily because of the education opportunities and all the classes that they offer, because starting out, that's really your biggest asset is classes and as much education and knowledge that you can get poured into you. And then also, whether you're considering taking the class or if you're in the midst of it right now, for me personally, I would say try to be putting aside a little extra money just from a logical standpoint to go back to the cost of the test first and foremost, and then the fees that you're going to have to pay once you do pass, if that is something you want to pursue, because it can be a lot and you're already going to be overwhelmed with the amount of things on your to-do list. So if you can start setting aside $20 a week now, it will be better long term when the big fees come through, if you get to that point, for it to not seem so overwhelming. And because I know for me, when I get overwhelmed, I shut down. And that's just one thing that you can start now, maybe, to help your future self. And you'll be thankful, I think, when all is said and done and you get to that point.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice, actually.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the financial point. That's something I definitely wish I had done, is squirreled away some more money. Because I think, you know, that can be a very stressful piece of it, is making sure you have enough money to pay the bills and everything like that. So definitely things to consider, especially when you're interviewing brokerages. For me, I tend to get analysis paralysis. So I planned to interview at least 2, but I met with one, and we actually connected over our love of our dogs. So I was like, nope, this is it. Done. Decision made.
I like the strategy, Marissa. I think it's great.
Yes.
Whatever works.
Yeah. Education was a piece of it too, but
No, dogs.
For sure.
First.
Yeah. Dogs was really the driving factor.
Connection. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a lot to say on this, so I will try to narrow it down.
No, it's all good. People can learn from you.
Yeah.
Preach, girl, preach.
Preach.
Because being where I am, at least now in real estate, I'm seeing how much time I wasted in the beginning. And I just think, oh, if I had just done these in the beginning, I would have saved so much time. Could be so much further along. But, everyone's different. For me personally, I am introverted, and that's totally okay. I know we talked about it a little bit on the other podcast. But because of that, I felt like I put these limiting beliefs on myself in the beginning. I didn't believe that I was a real estate agent yet. And I feel like you really have to change your mindset in that beginning if you tend to think that way. I also had to really be honest with myself and know it's easy to think that you're doing the right things and say you're going to do the right things, but there's such a thing as like follow up and then follow through and actually doing them. There's a lot of parts of real estate in the beginning and even during that aren't fun, but it's part of the process. It's important. There's a lot of paperwork. A lot of people don't like paperwork. There's a lot of following up with people and lead generation. And I was not diligent with a lot of that in the beginning. And business doesn't just come to you. It doesn't just come knocking on your front door as much as we'd like it. And if it does, it's because we have built those systems from the beginning and we have referrals coming. So for me, I really wish that I had, honestly, joining the team was a big jump for me. I really wanted to be on my own in the beginning, and I realized that is not how I work. I need accountability. I need other people around me too. Even though I'm not extroverted, having those other people was a huge game changer for me. I didn't have any of my goals written down. I wasn't time blocking. I was just an agent with a part-time job. And because I had that part-time job and I had enough money to live off of, I wasn't pursuing real estate like it was an actual career that I wanted. And changing that mindset made me change my lifestyle to become more like the agent that I wanted to be. So my biggest first steps then, and kind of summing it up, is just changing my mindset and my lifestyle and just saying, okay, I'm going to build these good roots, these good habits in the beginning with real estate. I'm just going to go do the things that I'm nervous about, go do your first showings on your own, go do an open house. You're not going to know everything in the beginning, but you got to start somewhere. So kind of like Marissa said, that analysis paralysis, there is so much you're doing in the beginning, but for me, I had to write. I wrote a sticky note that just says "Get over it," and I still have it. I still have it up on my board next to my goals, and it's kind of exciting because that was a huge turning point for me when I had kind of one of my mentoring coaches said, "Sarah, you just need to get over it. You're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing." So.
Wow. Well, we just learned something new about you. I love your sticky note. Get over it. I think that finding out ahead of time what all the costs are, like if someone's in the real estate classes right now, start talking to brokerages, call the real estate commission or your local board of realtors and dive into that so you know what to expect and can potentially plan for those expenses. As far as diving into the job, with a lot of the things that you spoke about, Sarah, is just like breaking it down, get a notebook or, put it in your phone, whatever method works, and write it out. Where do you want to be? Do a 6 months out or a 1, 3, 5 year plan, what that looks like, so that you have that GPS in place, really. With the things that they need to do, we can even pull the book and talk about more items, either on another podcast or in the members only meetings on Zoom. And the other thing that I think is just important to focus on is, what should they not do too soon? And I bring that up because I made so many mistakes. So if someone could just learn and not learn from my mistakes and not make so many errors, like signage. I went on a website online and I'm like, oh, I need signs and I need this and I need that. And I just started ordering. And I really had no clue. My very first sign cost $389. And then I got it and I didn't have the frame. That was separate. And they charged a fortune to ship the frames in. So I just, I was so ready to just start that I went online and just started ordering whatever it was that I needed, the business cards, signs, frames, you name it. I was talking with Roger from Build Design, and we've talked about him developing a cheat sheet for new agents so they can understand what they need and what they don't need and how to order. There's different thicknesses to signs and they're made out of different materials. And what does that mean for you? Right. So I think that could definitely be really helpful. What other things can you think that new agents shouldn't leap right into?
I'm thinking. And initially I wrote that it depends on the person. Obviously, it always does. But when you just pass the test, you're so excited. You just want to get started and jump in, and you just are like, oh, I can do it all right now, like the day that you pass your test. But something I wish I had acknowledged more in the beginning was like the week after I passed the test and I hadn't done anything, right? Because I didn't know where to start. So I started this negative self-talk, like, you are such a failure. I can't believe it's been a week since you passed your test and you've done nothing, So I would say to the new agent to take a step back. You've just done this great thing. You've just passed the test. Enjoy that because you get that moment one time. And it's okay not to jump right, because you don't know what you're doing. You're not going to know what the first step is most of the time unless you have somebody guiding you step by step through this new process. So I wish, as a new agent, somebody had just said, just take a step back. It's okay. You're not going to know what you're doing. And enjoy this because you get this once. And if you don't enjoy it now, it's just going to snowball into an even more stressful situation. If you feel like a failure 1 week after not doing anything, it's going to be 10 times worse when it's been a month or 2 months and you still don't know what you're doing. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I think getting a mentor, whether if someone has joined a brokerage or if they haven't, it's just having those conversations and getting out with people who actually do know. And there are helpful people out there that are willing to support and mentor. And kind of latching onto that situation, even if it's not something you want long term, just to help better guide you so you can limit the mistakes you make, because a lot of the mistakes that we make at that point have financial cost to them.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can help limit those, that would be really excellent. And I think just mapping things out and taking it kind of slow at first. It's really got to be about talking with brokerages and other agents and taking the steps within the brokerage, because whatever brokerage someone joins, within the brokerage they're going to have a system, and you'll want to take notes and review them regularly because there'll just be a lot of information. But then you can put your game plan together so that you move forward intentionally and cautiously.
I think it's really interesting, this part of the conversation, because I feel, at least for me and you, I work completely differently. You're like, I'm ready to go. I'm going to order my signs now. I probably was thinking about my business cards for 2 months.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
You know, I'm like, oh, do I put my picture on there? Do I do this?
I'm banging my head against a wall.
Double-sided? Do I do one side? Do I make it, really fancy? Do I make it so that you can write on the back little notes or your number? Like, I just overthink things to the point that I didn't do them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's a big balance between that. It's like, yeah, don't wait 2 months to order business cards. You can always order a small batch in the beginning and then get more later if you're that worried. But I think, like you were talking about the listing signs, I think, there's so many things that you can be doing in the beginning, with learning, with getting a mentor, with just going on showings with other agents and just asking if you can kind of shadow them, going on open houses. Those things are free. Mm-hmm. Anything that you can do that is going to further your education on the real estate side, that's what I think you're supposed to be jumping into in the beginning. So, you don't have to go and buy a whole new wardrobe in the beginning. You don't have to go make sure that you have a super fancy car, even though it looks nice on HGTV. Those things can come along the way. It's not a whole giant change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And depending where you live, the clothes in the car aren't necessary. A necessary what's it called? Your purse and all these things.
Accessory.
Thank you. Oh, my stars. It totally escaped me.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add?
I think going off of that, just a quick plug for the shadowing. I think that's super important because it gives you also like a sense of how to conduct yourself when you're on your own. And it also is kind of like a live action script. You're hearing them talk to the buyers or the sellers. And for me, that was just really helpful because I forget words when I'm nervous. So that was very helpful.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent first step. So like if you think about it, you've got some first steps that are more sort of ministerial, right? And then this other focus that you guys are bringing up that gets you out actually doing the job. So imagine, Claire, when you were out there and you were on your own, if you had thought or knew, I could be shadowing agents. I could post in the Facebook group or wherever that I want to help with open houses. Like, it had you at that point just taken the steps and actually gotten a little taste of what the job would be like, that would have probably helped redirect you in some other areas. So that can be really helpful, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like at that point for me, my fear of failure, because it took me a few times to pass the test. So my fear of failing now that I'm doing it, and people saying no because who are they to, say, oh yeah, you can do my open house, not knowing at the time that people would really love somebody to do that,
Right.
It's frightening. It's scary. And I thought, nobody's gonna want me to help them. I don't even know what I'm doing. But it's true. Like, if I had just taken a leap of faith and even just posted something, it would have made a big difference, I think. But it all worked out in the end, because if I did become a great success by myself, I would never would have joined the team, right?
Yes. No, I'm very happy for you.
Failure's good. No, I'm just kidding.
But it really is. I mean,
you grow.
So much comes out of mistakes and failure.
Lots of opportunities.
Yeah. And, when you were talking, something occurred to me. Right now, while someone's in real estate classes, they could spend their weekends going to open houses. Go to as many open houses as you can to get a feel for what agents are doing during that time. And you will see plenty of things that you should not repeat, and then plenty of things that you want to emulate. So it can be a really valuable lesson without putting any pressure on that new agent at all, because you're just going as a consumer.
Mm.
And of course, none of us did that, but it's a great idea.
I was even thinking they could do that before they even are in the class to see,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You live and you learn. It's fine.
Right. And so we're here, and we're just going to keep sharing what we've learned, and hopefully it helps many people. So I really appreciate your time, ladies, and sharing your opinions and your experiences. And I value each of you and your time. And everyone, thank you so much for listening. This is the Real as Fuck podcast. Like us on all program. Till next time. Make sure you subscribe to our Spotify channel so you get updated every time we drop a new podcast. And check out our website at realafprogram.com.